Hello, this is Dave Lundahl from Insights Now, welcoming everyone to this next version of Webinars Now. And just as a way of introduction, today we're going to be talking about consumer perceptions of functional ingredients, basically drawing the linkages between functional ingredients and functional benefits, which has a lot of applications in our claims work. So again, I'm Dave Lundahl, Insights Chief Executive Officer for Insights Now. I'm here today with Dr. Alan Kadish. He's the CEO for AAK. He's a medical physician. And so, Alan, do you have anything you want to, as a way of introduction of yourself?
Well, to make a long story rather short, I've been involved in foods and supplements now for 37 years as a naturopathic medical doctor, and it's been a fascinating ride. Looking forward to giving some folks some good, solid information.
Good. Great. So, all right, move right on along here. If you are new to Webinars Now or Insights Now, I'll give a couple of brief sort of introductions here. Insights Now, we're a behavioral marketing research company. We work a lot in the area of clean label research, both from a marketing messaging and a product innovation, as well as brand and positioning sort of thing. So basically, insights to help you improve speed to and success for your products and market. Now, if you're new to our Webinars Now, this is, you'll see on the right-hand side the ability to ask questions, and you should see this sort of a pull-down menu where at the end of this session today, we're going to have a question and answer. And so the way that we do this question and answer time is that please, anytime, type in your questions during this Webinars Now session, and we'll address those at the very end. All right. Topics today. We're going to have a part one and a part two. Part one, we're going to be providing some information that we did on a piece of research back in July on functional benefits from food, beverages, and supplements. And then we're going to move into a part two with some really interesting and exciting methodology called an explicit test of association, where we're going to be using to draw some relationships from a consumer perception perspective between ingredient benefits and functional ingredient perceptions about functional benefits. So let's get into part one today. All right, so we'll try this again. I'm getting a notice here as it's contacting server for information. So we'll see what that means here. Let's see. We'll try this again here. There we go. So this is part one of the study, Dave. We conducted a piece of research. This is an online study, and back in July. And what we did is we looked at 199 primary shoppers that were identified ahead of time as clean label enthusiasts. And I'll define these individuals a little bit further. And then we also gained participation in the survey by 202 members who are primary shoppers but not clean label enthusiasts. And we've done a number of other studies about clean label enthusiasts here over the last couple of years. And clean label enthusiasts are consumers that read the ingredient statement. They are very concerned about what is into the products And so they're an ideal sort of group to look at from a consumer segment perspective in looking at functional claims and functional benefits. And when you look at these two groups, you find that if you ask them if they are proactive with their health on an agreement, and you find that clean label enthusiasts have 48% will strongly agree with the statement that they're proactive. So they are very proactive, and you look at agree. If you combine the somewhat agree to strongly agree, you see that you're up around 85%. And this is in difference to non-clean label enthusiasts that strongly agree to about 21% at the time to the idea of I'm proactive with my health. Now, in addition, with the question is how are consumers proactive with their health? We find that clean label enthusiasts really reduce the amount of processed foods. 57% claim that's one approach in terms of their dieting. They also eat low carb, low fat, non-GMO, and high protein sort of diets. We also ask all of our consumers that participate here in terms of, all right, so we're having evidently some audio issues. Okay, we've been reestablished here, so we asked them a number of questions in terms of which personal health and wellness benefits are you using to help achieve this sort of proactive lifestyle? And so we asked them a number of questions for, do you use health and wellness products, fruits and beverages, and for promoting your health, your brain health, your heart health, or probiotics, prebiotics, a number of different questions. And what we found is these top 12. So amongst clean label enthusiasts, 60% are looking for a good source of vitamins and materials. 55% are interested in gaining health and benefits from good sources of protein and digestive health, antioxidants, promoting heart health, and so on, all the way down to anti-inflammatory. Seem to be really significant areas where clean label enthusiasts and to a lesser degree non-clean label enthusiasts are interested in terms of functional benefits. So further, we ask these for each of these types of personal health and wellness benefits that they selected, which of the following sources do you typically get these benefits from? And we found that for a large, clean label enthusiasts, it's unprocessed foods and supplements as the two primary areas. And non-CLE is also found, but to a lesser degree, unprocessed foods and supplements. Further, we asked in terms of looking at, in terms of substantiate sort of claims that were made perhaps on the front of the packaging, how do you check the ingredient label on the back to substantiate? And we found that amongst clean label enthusiasts, 68% said always, and over 98%, almost everybody, either said sometimes or always. So this group of clean label enthusiasts are very distinctive in comparison to non-clean label enthusiasts, which are all primary shoppers, as a key piece of, they look at these labels. And finally, we ask them, where do they get their information about ingredients in foods and beverages with regard to personal health and wellness benefits? And what we're finding that it's largely internet searching as the primary. Almost half of clean label enthusiasts found that that's the primary area, and or just reading the labels is about a quarter of them found that. And if you look at medical professionals, they're down at 5%. Scientific, looking at scientific articles, 3%. So internet searching is by and large a really key area where these individuals look at. So sort of in summary, if you look at U.S. primary shoppers, we have found through our research of this group for the last 2-3 years that they are about 30% of the U.S. Population of primary shoppers. And from this research, we're finding they're very proactive in health and wellness behaviors. 68% always read the ingredient label to substantiate claims. 56% get their functional benefits through unprocessed foods that are low carbs, low calories, high in protein, non-GMO. 46% get functional benefits through supplements themselves. And 48% use the internet as a primary way to learn about functional ingredients, as compared to like 5% asking your medical professional. All right, so moving to part two. So in part two, what we've done is we've developed a methodology called an implicit association test. And what we did is we took 241 clean label enthusiasts, and we were going to focus just on this segment here for this part two. And what we did is we asked them, gave them a statement. And so when you see a statement on a food or beverage package which states that the product, and then we looked at one of 6 different benefits, like promotes heart health or increases energy, and says, does this ingredient support the claim? And then we had 105 different types of unique ingredients that we cycled through, and we selected 20 to 25% for 20 to 25 specific ingredients for each of these benefits. So we are able then to not only collect information on whether they said yes or no, whether it supports this claim, but also we timed how fast people responded. Now, the timing of this was used in a very interesting way. First of all, if people selected things very quickly, and we did a warm-up exercise to determine if people were using system 1 or very fast thinking, that means very sort of automatic, absolute yes or no, or people had to think about it for a while. And then, so if they were slow thinking, using what we call a system 2 approach, we also then were bucketing each of the responses as a slow yes, a slow no, a fast yes, or a fast no. And we weighted the responses based on this equation to a 100-point score, where the faster the response, like a fast yes, we weighted it towards 100, and a fast no, we weighted it down towards a score of 0. And from that, we're able to create then these various different scores. Best case, 100% everybody said yes, is a score of 100. In the worst case, if everybody said this ingredient does not substantiate the claim at all, it got a score of 0. And so the higher, the more yes, higher fast yeses you weighted. Let's say you can see the actual case is 60% fast yes, 18% slow yes, 6% slow no, and 16% fast no gets a score of 75. All right, so what I'm going to do is turn this back over here to Dr. Kadish to tell us about what we found and give some sort of medical perspectives on what this might mean. So, Alan.
Well, let's start with talking about health heart associations. In fact, actually, what we want to look at and focus our attention towards, color-wise, take a quick note. When there's no scientific evidence or very limited, it's a red. And the green, of course, there is plenty of evidence of benefit. Orange is a question mark. So let's pick out two parameters. You've got olive oil and coconut oil, which I want to highlight on our findings, both of which people associate with health heart, but realistically doesn't make the grade. In fact, curiously, with the olive oil in particular, there's some studies showing that it really doesn't have a benefit with your vessels. Many people don't appreciate that coconut oil is 90% saturated fat, another no-no for cardiovascular health. The others that they did associate, so the salmon, the broccoli, the red wine, and many of the berries and beets, have a really appropriate intervention because of their potassium, because of their magnesium levels, because they also supply adequate amounts, as an example with salmon, vitamin D. So some really good observational skill sets, but also some missteps.
Yeah, so tell me about, so olive oil and coconut oil are red.
Yes.
So, but yet seems to be a perception amongst clean label enthusiasts.
Exactly.
That read a lot on the internet about that these are much more better for our heart health, when in fact what you're saying is they're not.
This is a great example of where good advertising and communication trumped reality. In this case, the olive oil, the reason most people associate with health heart is because of the so-called Mediterranean diet.
Mm-hmm.
But the real finding was that what happened was, because they used olive oil, they increased their vegetables and fruit intake and
Right.
vegetables, and that's really was the active ingredient, not the olive oil, but rather the vegetables.
Yeah, really interesting. Okay.
The next one we'll look at has to do with bone and joint health. And you'll see some interesting immediate findings. Salmon, again, had a good piece. In this case, the vitamin D certainly was contributory. But then we look at a real question mark, milk. Now, I know probably everyone listening to this is going to be saying, but I've heard it a gazillion times, milk builds bones because it has calcium. Total truth. Total truth. It does contain calcium, but its other constituents don't necessarily make it a positive. In fact, the curious piece that is published is that women who consume 3 glasses or more of milk actually land up with a higher fracture rate than those who don't drink milk at all. So it's an interesting finding, definitely worth looking at. On the other side of the coin, when we start looking at the broccoli, the greens in general, so collards, etc., the magnesium from those components, from those ingredients, actually contribute to calcium absorption and, in fact, really build bones. There's a much better story behind those. So, again, perception and truth don't necessarily meet in the same venue, and milk would be absolutely positively not one that I would consider appropriate.
Yeah.
The wheat bran, it has to do with an amount. So one of the problems when we start talking about what promotes or makes it better or worse, did you get enough to make a difference? Mm-hmm. I like the analogy, if I go to the gas station, I put a couple of ounces of gasoline in my tank, how far are we going to go? Well, pretty obvious. Similar association here.
So you need a lot of wheat bran to have any sort of impact functionally on your bone and joint health.
Exactly.
Probably more than people can eat.
Precisely.
That's interesting. All right, good. So on milk, but what kids? How about children?
So children will have some net benefit. There are some good studies that do show that indeed that's the case. But once again, this is very similar to that it's not a single product. It's actually your whole diet that's going to make the difference. And if you're emphasizing milk products substantially, that may not be in their best interest.
Okay, good. Should we move on?
You bet. Digestion. So here's where those amazing CLEs nailed it. They got it. They understood that, if you want to help your guts, you need to put some good products in. Two pieces. There's prebiotics, those that help the gut bacteria and ultimately make things happen. And then you have probiotics, those that actually put the bacteria back in. So yogurt with lactobacillus, great, got it. Mm-hmm. The other products, they really did understand that those will help your bacteria to function properly.
Yeah, all right.
Good job.
So how about energy?
Energy. That's where we go a little bit off the rails in some ways. One of the issues here, there's two primary, is the oils. The oils, I'm referring to the omega-6s. Folks don't appreciate that when you have different types of oils, whether it's salad dressing, whether it's a supplement, it depends on what you're putting in and which form. Many people assume that the omega-3s are the answer. In many ways they are. But they're also selling omega-6s. This is not actually going to help your energy. In fact, if anything, it may be a very big negative. We'll talk more about it because there's another subset where we looked at omega-6s. The second misconstruction here is, unfortunately, at the very end of our chart, it's Eleutherococcus, which many people may know as Siberian ginseng. So what happened was years ago, they said, it's not the same. You can't call it a ginseng. That's inappropriate terminology. And it literally lost market share. It dropped right off. Great product, no longer in the wavelength of most people's observation, and hence a 19. It was a really good idea. The other is yerba mate. For those of you listening, if you've gotten a power drink or an energy drink with yerba mate, it's a much better choice in terms of both its caffeine content. It's less than coffee. It has some other components that are really very powerfully appropriate and don't give you the jitters. But it hasn't been as much in people's space and knowledge.
Yeah. So yerba mate, is a great opportunity, perhaps, for the ingredients industry or the supplements industry, for that matter, to look at, marketing the value of yerba mate as something that gives you energy without caffeine necessarily.
Well, it has caffeine,
okay,
but not as much. And it has other constituents which actually mellow out the response. That's where it really shines.
Okay. So there's some opportunities there.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Let's look on for something else here. How about anti-inflammatory?
Anti-inflammatory, yeah. Good piece of this. Again, I'm going to refer back to the omega-6s. If you were wanting to reduce your inflammation, it would be the 3s. So, a quick dive into the 6s. If you think about many of the common vegetable oils we use, they're very high in the 6s, very low in the 3s. Where you start seeing the 3s, our CLEs got it. You think about flaxseed as a good example. You would do something like fish oils. In general, they did understand anti-inflammatory products. So here's a good example, but I want to also go back to how much can you use? Well, some products you need a lot to really have an effect. Others, not so much. So some of the pieces that are easy, the green tea is a perfect example where a couple of cups a day are totally doable. On the other side of the coin, garlic, depending on your culinary delight or otherwise, you may or may not use this a lot. It really matters how much. So saffron is a great example where a little bit goes a long way, but it's an expensive herb.
Mm-hmm. Right. So back to omega-6 as omega-6 fatty acids or oils versus omega. So omega-6 does not have anti-inflammatory properties.
Correct. The problem has been, and there's some really great data on this, that the typical American diet is so weighted in 6s that it overshadows the 3s.
Right.
And until you get enough to get a ratio that makes sense, you're pushing inflammation.
So you're pushing inflammation.
Yeah.
So actually the opposite.
Exactly.
All right, so that's not a good thing. So consumers in general do not really understand the difference between omega-3 and omega-6. That's the bottom line.
Okay. Correct.
All right. How about immune support?
Immune support. So here's one of those classic misunderstandings from some good advertising. First, let's talk about the positives, then we'll go with the negative. The turmeric, the ginger, the elderberry, excellent choices. Great move. But then we get to the orange juice. Oh my, oh my, oh my. So what people don't appreciate, and I think we can all agree, sugar reduces immune response. A typical 8-ounce glass of orange juice is 20 grams of sugar. And it may be even higher than that depending on which brand you get, whether it's made from concentrate, etc. With that said, that's a huge dose. And then people wonder, well, wait a second, I heard it contains vitamin C. It does. But the typical glass of vitamin C has 137 milligrams. If you really think about what most people would want to stimulate the immune system, they take 500 to 1,000 milligrams in a pill form multiple times a day. So giving 137 is almost meaningless.
Yeah. Okay. So orange juice, you've got it here as a green. So it has all the pulp and everything else. It has a lot more benefit towards immune support. In fact, very good benefit.
Correct.
In a point of difference from oranges.
Yes. Yes.
All right. And consumers really don't understand that distinction. Okay.
Apparently.
All right. Well, good. Do you want to sum us up here?
Absolutely. So the takeaways. Heart health. There's some misconceptions. In this case, of course, the olive and coconut oil, saturated fats, and oils in general, when overused, don't make the grade for bones. It's really not about milk. That may actually not be the best of choices. Absolutely, positively, unequivocally, it's greens. It's good old greens from A to Z. Digestion, hey, our group really understood that when you add fibers, when you give additional probiotics, you get a definite boost. Good move. Energy. There's just a couple of misunderstandings here. The omega-6 will not give you energy. In fact, may be a deterrent. And then, of course, the ginseng, knowing your ginsengs versus Eleutherococcus, they're both good products used appropriately. And finally, yerba mate. I would amplify your statement. It's an opportunity. It just needs to be in the public's eye. As far as the anti-inflammatories, we're back to omega-6, wrong direction. And then the other is that in many cases, small amounts of spices can actually make a huge impact on your system. And again, the immune system, most people got it right. They understood what to take, except for the orange juice.
Great. All right. So let's kind of do a wrap-up here. So what have we learned today? First of all, 85% of clean label enthusiasts agree that they are proactive. You know, they highly agree they're proactive with their health. Strongly agree, 48% versus 21% for non-CLEs. 68% of clean label enthusiasts always check ingredients for functional benefits, and that's as a point of difference of 16% for non-clean label enthusiasts. So this is a really distinctive group and a good group to use in doing research.
I think we should emphasize that what we're looking at is trends. This is the group that really is ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you which way are people moving.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly in the press of the last couple of days, it's been emphasized again and again how people are finding themselves needing to dive into label reading. So we're going to see the non-CLEs following the CLEs.
Yep, absolutely. And that's why we've been, following them for the last 3 years now, almost. So these are the top 6 areas of functional benefits that today consumers, especially clean label enthusiasts, are seeking, and getting benefits from their foods, their beverages, and in other cases, supplements. So vitamins, top of the list, protein, digestive health, antioxidants, heart health, probiotics, lowering cholesterol was a big one, bone and joint health, of course, increasing energy as we were talking about. Blood sugar control.
Huge.
A lot of people that selected that as well. It was about, I think, a little over 30% in this study. Immune support, anti-inflammatory. So again, there's a lot of areas, a lot of opportunities for developing products, whether they're foods, beverages, or supplements, to help in these, provide these sort of functional benefits. And we did research. We didn't able to show everything that we did, and so we have a lot more information for people if they have interest later on down the road. So we also learned about clean label enthusiasts is that, they get a lot of their functional benefits from their dieting, reducing processed foods, low carbs, low fat, non-GMO and high protein were also listed as key ways. So, and then 47%, almost half, get their functional benefits directly from supplements. So they're augmenting their diets with supplements of various types. And then we also found that, that the internet is by and far the source where people, they're doing internet searches, looking up information about various different topics, that relate to their desire to be proactive in their health and wellness. And it was surprising.
It was amazing.
Medical professionals, 5% versus 48%. Get online.
I thought some of the deep dive into the specifics were just absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. And yet these are people who are at the cutting edge, who are already there, and yet who do they believe? The
right.
trust factor is so different,
right.
so different than what you expect.
Right, and 3% are going to get online and read a scientific article, which doesn't surprise me, because there's a lot of stuff in there that, it's difficult to read, perhaps.
Well, I think the other piece that this emphasizes is that miscommunication is so easy with just a quick title, and all of a sudden it misleads the masses.
Yeah. So it's a really important point. Again, this is just a summary of the things. We've got a linkage here on this linkage on milk, which is a fascinating article, and so we've got to be aware of some of the research that's coming out.
We probably should also point out that this is one of many articles. It's not a sole standing piece of the puzzle. So if people have more information or desire more, they can certainly contact us.
Right. Yeah. So some misconceptions, but CLEs by and large, know their stuff.
They do.
They're reading and they're looking at for claim substantiation. Just because a claim is in the front is energizing. They're going to be going, okay, what's in it that's going to provide that energy?
I think
that's
the other
very important
emphasis on that is they want their money's worth as well. Not only the functionality, they want to know they're getting the real deal, which is critical and part of what we'll continue our conversation towards.
Yep. So this sort of leads up, if you think about it, what is the implications of this research? All right, so kind of really three sort of buckets. First of all, these clean label enthusiasts are a really good group to incorporate in research, at least as a subgroup for what you're targeting in development of new products. They're up to 30% in some markets, like on the West Coast, in like Florida and in the Northeast. A very high percentage and having a dramatic impact on the food, beverage, and supplements industries. But and with regard to health and wellness, they're very proactive, as we found. They read the labels, and they're very internet savvy. So the information that is out there, whether it's accurate or not, that's the stuff they are reading. And so it's important to understand that and what they're reading as well.
We should also make note to our audience that the CLEs are a broad range of ages. So instead of thinking, it's just a subgroup, no. It's a far broader group that actually everyone's now looking. The message is coming across.
Yeah, great. When you're doing claims research, there's one of the implications of this that I took away from this is that there's two really important components in claims. Number one is claim substantiation. You have to have your science and your facts correct. Otherwise, you run into regulatory issues about making claims. But equally important is the idea of claims perceptions. And to how does it relate to the ingredients on the back as more and more consumers, like clean label enthusiasts, know, their relationships. This research shows that they get it.
Yep.
85% in many cases, they get it. And understand, if I want heart health or I want joint bone health or whatever, what sort of things really help that. So these implicit, explicit tests of association that we showed today is a great way to kind of get at that as a measurement for whatever sort of claims work you're doing. Last is the idea there's huge opportunities for functional ingredient marketing. I know that we've got some individuals attending today that are in the ingredients industry. We got others that are in the supplements industry. This is an opportunity. And so, for instance, to be able to market this Asian ginseng, we can't call it that anymore now, but to market that, or finding maybe a word that consumers will understand,
right?
As well as things like yerba mate. I'm gonna really next time I go to the store, I'm gonna see if I can find some energy drinks, or beverages or whatever that have this in it. Piqued my interest. And last, to realize that the internet, the search engines, is a major source of information. So if you're in the marketing side, utilize that as a great channel to build sort of knowledge amongst consumers. All right, so we're now into the opportunity for questions and answers. So as I said earlier, does anybody have any questions about anything that we presented today, or things that we were not able to present that perhaps we alluded to and you'd like to know more about? So waiting for people to type in stuff at this point, and while we're waiting for people to enter in any questions, just mention here is that this session today is being recorded. That means it will be available here probably later today on the Insights Now website. So you just type in Insights Now, go to Resources and Webinars Now, and you'll see this as well as 20 or so other webinars that we have given here over the last few years that on all sorts of topics that could be of interest to you if you have any chance. And if you have specific questions, you can either get a hold of myself or Dr. Kadish about, and you've got his email here as well, and you can contact him, or just call Insights Now, and I got the list phone number here at the very bottom. So, any questions anyone has to ask? Was this information surprising? Was this information something that you were expected? So I got a question then for you, Alan.
Surely.
So if you look at the idea of energy, and I find energy to be, if you're designing a product, let's say an energy drink or so, if you're designing a product, how would you design it? Would you go for, making a claim of this includes something that people have never heard of? Or would you focus on what people know?
Well, that's the conundrum, because there are 5 or 6 active ingredients that you could easily incorporate that people probably have no clue about. Maca, rhodelia are 2 good examples. Most people are unfamiliar. So the question you'd have to ask yourself as a manufacturer, are you willing to step in and make an educational push, just like the yerba mate? It's really been around for years.
Yeah.
But no one has taken and popularized it, with a few exceptions. There are some energy drinks. You will find them at Market of Choice, and some other folks have them. It's a real difficult. What may be the best road is doing a combination. Something people know about. Everyone is familiar with caffeine. That's a no-brainer. But on the other hand, the others, just like Red Bull and the others have said, why don't we combine, as a good example, B vitamins? We'll mellow out the so-called caffeine hit.
Right.
That may be the way to do an introduction, is nice and slow, get the energetic around the education, and then people will not only look for it, if you've got the right advertising, and you've got the right functionality, and you've got the internet on your side, you can make that fly.
Well, one of the things that we've found through our research time and time again, if you want to be successful in taking a new product to market, what you have to do is you have to have a basis of something that people know, okay? So something that's familiar, but with a twist. And there lies the opportunity for some things like yerba mate is perhaps the twist. So provide, ingredients on the labels or in your claims that can be substantiated, that people know, but then add something that is new and different as a twist. And that I've seen time and time again. We've done research time and time again showing that sort of combination, that sort of a strategy tends to be very successful.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And again, as the change towards the internet access keeps increasing, that opportunity becomes less of a barrier.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, that kind of wraps it up for today. I appreciate everybody that was here. Next month, just so those of you that, let's see if I can get this to work. There we go. So next month, we're going to really talk about back to sort of product development, product design, clean label product design to help you achieve a competitive advantage. We've got some really cool new explicit techniques that lead to product scorecarding that allows for looking at whole categories and SWOT analysis to determine, okay, where can you really, achieve some success in the design of your products. So that's going to be next month after we've gone through Labor Day and all that and get back into the swing of things in September. Can't believe summer is already, just about coming to a close,
Where did it go?
Yeah. So, all right, everyone. Thank you for attending today, and I hope you had some good takeaways. Please give us a call or contact us through email, and we'll be glad to answer your